Most advice that you see online, such as YouTube and articles and other places, may be from old advice and prehistoric Etsy advice. I also contribute to that because I have videos on YouTube that have been around for the past 3 going on 4 years now. And some of that advice that I've given in past videos has changed quite drastically. Our videos are evergreen, which just means that they get put out to you consistently. And some of that advice might be from 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And Etsy has changed drastically since then. This video, I just want you to watch in full and keep in mind you might find other videos, even of my own videos, practicing and teaching things that aren't what I follow now. Let's get into it, guys. So the first piece of advice, this is something I've taught 2022 to 2025, which is essentially title stuffing is what you need to do for visibility organically. And it's so funny. If you see my cushions are down, it's because Chloe, my dog named Chloe, she owns this house. This is her house, not ours. Anyways, when I began with Etsy, the common knowledge base was that as many keywords as possible is very important. And I followed this advice for quite some time. I saw success with it as far as my tags. I was title stuffing my titles, but the thing is, where the most important keywords are actually in your tags. So your titles could be title stuffed or they could not be title stuffed. But that doesn't necessarily give you more visibility per your titles. Title stuffing in this year or the future is pretty much non-existent. You don't need it. Here's what I'm getting at is that Chloe is not happy. Chloe's not happy. Your titles don't matter as much as the tags. The tags actually are going to be your heavy lifters in your listings for organic reach. And not only organic, but if you run Etsy ads, that's going to pull up your listings in the Etsy algorithm if you are running ads. Now, here are the caveats to keywords. One, long tail keyword phrases are king. So when it comes to phrases, short tail keyword phrases are 2 words or less. Long tail keyword phrases are 3 keywords or less. So for a kind of the extra words in between, so gift for her, I would count that still as a short tail keyword phrase. I still think that's a good phrase to use though in your tags at some point, but that doesn't count as a long tail keyword phrase. Instead, think gift for dog mom or gift for Yorkie mom, gift for Corgi mom. Those are the long tail keyword phrases we want to have because it's also forcing you to figure out keyword phrases that are specific and identity driven. So the goal is to use objective words and keyword phrases instead of subjective. Subjective is using perfect, beautiful, gorgeous. We don't need that in our title. You don't need to title stuff. In fact, I find a lot of customers are kind of fed up with title stuffed listings because 1, they're confused, and 2, they just want simple. They want something that looks like a human created it. And by shortening and simplifying our titles, that's going to make it look a lot more human. It's not going to look title stuff. They're not going to be confused on what they're buying. So that's the one thing that I want to say on this channel is that that is old advice that I used to give. That is incorrect and it's not useful anymore. To be quite honest, I think it was just like a recommended thing when I began on Etsy that I personally did was title stuffing, but was it actually helping? Really, it wasn't because the tags, again, do that heavy lifting for your listings. The next idea and concept that is changed as far as this year and just in the future of Etsy is the recent adjustment for shipping profiles. So 1, you want to make sure that every shipping profile is under $6. So for a lot of my print-on-demand sellers, typically, and even handmade sellers, it's if you have a heavier shipping product, having the price be over $6 is going to happen quite frequently. And with that, there are 2 ways that you can kind of fix your shipping profiles and also be able to sell, I would say, more without the shipping cost affecting you on Etsy and your listings on Etsy. So first and foremost, you can offer free shipping. Now, I will note that you want to be careful about this and make sure that you have higher profit margin products, that this makes sense. You don't want to necessarily bake the price, so to speak, into your cost of your listing in total. So here's where product selection comes in and why it's so important, because if you're selling and sourcing, let's say, a product that costs you maybe $10 to make and retail value might be $15, your shipping might be, let's say, $6 plus. The product choice and your sourcing, maybe the print on demand provider you're using, the fees are too high to make sense to even sell that product in your shop, right? Now, if you find something such as, let's say, a blanket that you're selling on Etsy, production fees typically range from as low as like $15 to $20 with shipping included. So if you're offering free shipping on a product like this, we're looking at about, I would say, $15 to $20 of profit margin. And typically that looks like 40 to 50% profit margin, right? So offering free shipping on a product like this is still going to mean you're profitable. And then your customers aren't looking at your listing and being like, oh, obviously they're offering free shipping and they're baking the price in. So that's kind of the best recommendation I have. However, if you are a seller who you can't really do that, right? You can't change a product type because you already have the product sourced, you have your inventory. One thing that you can do is simply change your shipping. So if you're shipping with, let's say, a postal carrier is over $6 naturally, you can change your shipping profile to be maybe $5. $5.30, right? You would still charge for shipping on the shop, but you might have to consider raising prices just to accommodate that. Yes, you would take maybe a loss in that way of $1 to $2 if, let's say, we need to adjust pricing, but in the long run, that's going to boost your visibility on Etsy, which is really, really important as far as the future of selling on Etsy. So just keep that in mind. We basically just want to extend our trust to the customers and not make our prices ridiculously high if they don't need to be. So the next bit of advice, I have my mic.
I'm special today.
So the next bit of advice that I have told in the past on my own channel, we're not all perfect, but as far as old advice that really worked on Etsy was using the same thumbnail mock-up image over and over again. This was a big, useful tip, and I sold thousands of listings and products through using the same mock-up images in 2021 to 2024. Now, Etsy wants unique listings on Etsy, and they've mentioned this in the past year that they don't want the Etsy algorithm to look like basically the same thing over and over and over again. Now, as a new seller, I found that the advice of using and creating the same mock-up photos was really useful for me because it made everything templatized and that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel every time. And I know some of you may feel that way, and this type of advice might be kind of frustrating because it's like, okay, I have this template that works, but now you're saying we have to change the game, right? Which is not necessarily what you have to do. Here are two ways you can kind of accomplish having a unique mock-up photo and listing photos, but still using the same ones for your business. Here's what I've been doing is I typically take 3 mock-up images that are unique to my own shop. I usually have a badge in the mock-up photo. I have my watermark over the mock-up photo to protect your photos so someone can't just screenshot it and take it, right? I rotate these 3 mock-up images every listing. So let's say I create 10 phone cases. What I'm doing is every phone case listing, I'm going to change my mock-up image every listing and every other listing. This is going to keep my listings unique, but still kind of using a template. Now, here's my other recommendation is to also look and change up the game on your mock-up templates every, I would say, 6 months to a year, because again, Etsy wants fresh images. They want fresh mock-up photos. Here's one thing that I have been personally doing that is unique to one of my new shops that I created is that there is a new process with AI, and AI is pretty darn accurate. If you use a product photo from Printify, download it with the transparent background, take it to Kittl AI or AI software of choice. My personal preference is Kittl because it has inherently within Kittl's system over 10 AI image generators. It has ChatGPT, it has Nano Banana, it has Seedream and Kling, and also video mockup creation softwares and tools. What I have been doing is I've been templatizing my prompts so that it creates all the same basic mockup images over and over for each design and each product I upload into Kittl. And I get 4 to 5 unique mockup photos. I get a video from that, and that's what I take to Etsy. And all of my images are now unique because I'm using a AI tool that has a consistent prompt for every time I create my mockup images. Use one product, 3 to 5 images that are your core images you're going to swap out every listing you create. You don't have to reinvent the wheel again every single time you create a listing on Etsy. For this concept, it is about being identity driven in the forward of your business. And this is something I've taught for the past 5 years on Etsy. So this isn't changed concepts, but when I started on Etsy, I feel like the common advice I heard at least was pick one broad niche and go into it with as many listings as possible. Such as, example, go into the bridal niche and just create like 100 listings. So what I want everyone to have a takeaway is focusing more on the micro of niches. So what I like to say is micro niches. I like micro niches. They made me a whole ton of money. They still do. So what is a micro niche? If we're talking about the wedding niche in general, think about maybe going into honeymoon destinations for newlyweds. And that destination is the microniche. Essentially, we're creating listings for a new honeymoon couple going to a tropical destination or beach getaway. I can't speak. Anyways, so that's the takeaway is going into micro niches. And essentially that's what I want a lot of you to take away from this is start designing and creating for maybe a specific audience type. It's almost like you're going into a lottery, so to speak, was the old, I guess, advice that I personally never gave, but I heard and I tried out and I was wondering, why is this not working for me? Problem that I have personally found is that new sellers, it's hard to break through a highly saturated niche. What takes down your competition and the layers of competition that you're facing as a new seller is typically micro niching down, because once you hit, let's say, the tropical honeymooner area and niche on Etsy, you're going to have way lower competition than if you just went into new brides and new grooms and newlyweds. Let's say we're breaking it down and we're targeting and going into identity driven micro niches essentially. And that's the big takeaway that I can't recommend enough to a lot of you, because again, from when I began on Etsy, the advice has changed just so drastically. And given I am one of sources of advice, I just want everyone to look from the perspective of, okay, instead of trying to enter the lottery, let's create our own lottery and our own bracket of competition, right? So keep that in mind as you go forward on Etsy. If you liked this video, please subscribe, like the video to be shown more. And I highly recommend watching this video next that I'm going to put on the screen. I will see you all in the next video here.